Tim. Welcome to Watch One, and thanks for logging on. Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. This is This Year in Watches.
Thanks so much for doing this with us. What's your name?
My name's Hakeem.
My name is Hunter.
Hey, so what is your name?
David Shear.
Hi, I'm Dan.
My name is Rayanne.
Hi guys, thanks for being with us today. So we are here today in Rittenhouse Square. What is your name?
Christian. Amit. Nozomi.
And where are you guys from?
Israel and Japan.
Thanks for joining us. What's your name?
Thomas Schnepp.
Today I have
Kaya. So I have a couple questions for you about some watches and what you think about the people that wear this. So here's the first one. Tell me what you think.
That watch, it looks like a lawyer.
Probably teenagers.
Bourgeoisie.
Maybe a business person who wants to tell time.
And what do you think this watch costs?
About 1,500.
I don't know, 400 plus.
About 30.
All right, fantastic. Where do you think these are sold?
Walmart.
So if you walked into a bar or you saw a girl walking down the street and she was wearing this watch, what would you think?
I'm assuming this watch is rather expensive, so I guess she's a bit wealthy.
Ooh, a fancier business person.
Who also wants to tell
They
time?
also want to tell time. Maybe they're in finance.
Fancy, but I could get it anywhere.
I think it's nice, yeah.
Looks like a guy though, but mostly a girl would wear it.
Okay, so you think it has a masculine feel to it.
Yeah, pretty much.
And how much do you think something like this would cost?
$500.
I'm so cheap or unrealistic. 200 maybe.
250.
Probably between 400 and 600.
About 30.
If you were to put together just a three-piece collection that exhibits the values, the ethic, and I think the strongest suit of Bremont, what three watches would you each pick?
For me, they're all our babies, so it's a bit like who's your favourite child, isn't it? But it's
and Giles has got quite a few dotted around the world.
I know there are many different countries and the rest of it. But actually, the ones I think probably for me, the Martin Baker. It's the only watch to have ever gone through live ejection testing in the world. Working with them mechanically, it's really looking the barrel, the technology. That's definitely probably one of them. For me, probably our C Classic, which is one of our first watches we ever designed. And today it just looks as good as it did then, 10 years ago. And it's still one of our best sellers. That's probably up there. And then I think I'd add one of our limited edition watches. And every year or two we come out with interesting limited editions, which are amazingly draining for Nick and I to work on because it takes so much time and effort. But some very strong charitable causes based in it, and they become good collector's items, and I'd probably have one of those in the collection.
Okay, very cool. And Nick, does Giles speak for both of you?
You should have asked me first, and I'd come up with something very similar. No, the C's and the Martin Bakers are pretty much what Bremel's about. One is pretty the C's are very lovely because you can wear it with a pair of jeans or you can wear it with a suit, and it is so versatile in that respect. And when you see someone with a red barrel, MB1, which means they've ejected from an aircraft, each watch has an incredible story to tell. And that's something very, very special. And that whole three-piece case, and you can do some interesting things with materials. It's quite unique to Bremer on the way the sort of the lugs sort of melt over the case, and that really shows it off well. But these limited editions, I mean, you're doing, integrating pieces of the Wright Flyer from 1903 that we're just about to head down through the Carolinas, and to know that in 1903 this material was on that beach in Kitty Hawk. Parts of the material went to the moon with Neil Armstrong, sewn into his flight suit, and other swatches have been given to presidents, and this bit about this big we integrated into this watch, and you'd never know looking at it until you turn it over, and I think it's a great dinner party piece as well, but also knowing that with all these limited editions, a good percentage goes to charity.
So these two cars are really dear to us, and we always want to do, and we've done some road trips in the UK, and we always thought actually seeing America from the road, not just the big cities, we're talking sort of in between them in the middle of nowhere. And this E-Type, my father restored when I was about 12, and after he died in his plane crash. My mother was very keen to sell it, but she didn't, and we're amazingly lucky to still have that here. And when I got my first job, I started engineering, and for my sins, I went to the city for a couple of years. And for my day one, first salary check I got, I went and bought this. And many times I've almost had to sell it, but never did. And luckily still have it. And so they're very dear to us for this trip.
It's a pleasure to have you. Now, of course, the company is about 18 years old, but your relationship with Francois Paul goes back much farther. How do you get from that first meeting to here?
Well, when I met Francois Paul in 1987, I went to my first Basel fair, and it was I was a retailer in Palm Beach at that time, and my open to buy went out very quickly. But I was a good student, so I said I'm going to start, trying to learn more about the industry, and I start circling further and further away from like the center, till I met a few guys that are weird and weird displays and weird attitude, and I was like mesmerized by one watch. And I was looking at it, and this short guy that came to me and said, "Pierre, sir, can I help you with anything?" He didn't know my name then. I said, "Yeah, but I'm sorry to ask you, why are you copying Corum?" And then he said all the bad language, excuse my French, but like MF and all this. I said, "It's not true, I did the watch for Corum." I said, "I'm sorry, Corum told me that they did this watch. That was the Golden Bridge, and that was Vincent Calabrese." All of a sudden, the whole thing, like the whole curtain, like fell apart, and said, "Well, there's a whole other side." I was still naive at that time, thinking that everybody was making their own watches. I was young. I was not, from a genealogy of like watchmakers or jewelers. So I started hanging out with these guys, and Vincent introduced me to a few people, and he said, "Why don't you come to the dinner?" These guys are part of what we call the AHCI, which is the French acronym for Independent Horological Creators Academy. And I go to the dinner, and across from me is Philippe Dufour. For those that know Philippe, is greatest watchmaker probably living. Then you have Frank Muller that was there. Then you have François Paul Journe, on my right. And I started talking to these guys, and they had passion. They were ready to redo the whole world. They weren't looking at bottom lines. They weren't looking at anything but, let's make the best watches. Let's be creative. Unfortunately, especially at that time, and François Paul was one of the first ones like, to really complain about this, people in the watch industry were sucking the talent from these creators without recognizing the talent. So a guy like Vincent Calabrese became the ambassador for the Corum Golden Bridge 2 years ago.
Openly, only 2 years ago.
I mean, this is just unbelievable. It's interesting also to see that the first joint venture that François Paul did was with Harry Winston, called the Opus One. But the Opus One, and I salute Harry Winston about this, they salute the talent. Say, "Hey, we don't know how to do this, but this is François Paul that did this," and so on and so forth, all the guys that now we start knowing. It gives a chance to the small guy to emerge. To be independent then was extremely difficult. To be independent today, is also very difficult, but for different reasons. So when I started, you know, going every year to Paris, and François Paul's atelier was next to my parents' apartment, so we would hang out, and the guy would redo the whole world every time, and I was part of the adventure. So that's created like this this bond between François Paul and I, and 30 years after, you know, we are partners. We still argue because we're French, normal, it's part of the nature, but always trying to do what François Paul always wanted to do, make the best watches ever. That's his goal in life.